Everyone always says, just be yourself. But what does just be yourself actually mean? To some people, it might be obvious. Well, obviously, I'm going to be myself. Who else would I be? But that's not entirely true. We pretend to be different people every single day, depending on the situation or the circumstance we find ourselves in. We play a different role. We might be different to our parents than our boss, different to our siblings than to a colleague. And we are constantly adjusting who we are dependent on this situation that we're in or the kind of life that we want. And I'm going to talk about my experience figuring out who I am and what does it actually mean to be my most authentic self. My whole life, I've always been intuitive. So, intuitive in the sense that I can often sense things that are going to happen before they happen. And not in a psychic way, not as a medium would. I can't tell the future. I could never read for someone else. I just have an inherent intuition for my own life and my own circumstances. And I kind of just get a gut feeling on things that will happen, whether good or bad, or I can kind of get a read on how things are going to play out. And I've always had this, and it has become stronger over time. And I've learned to trust it. And the funny thing is, the more you trust your intuition, the stronger it gets. And a lot of people who are into the law of attraction or manifestation or practicing any of those teachings, you start to get a sense of accuracy in your intuition. You start to really trust your gut. You start to know when things are about to work out. And it's not always. You can't go with blind faith and the more you will something, it will be like, no. But there's honestly true power in prayer. And when I went through my whole manic episode in my spirituality through COVID, going from being really spiritual, meditating all the time, practicing manifestation, law of attraction, playing with crystals every day, to like shutting down the crystal shop cold turkey and going right to the Bible, picking up the Bible, doing as Jesus says, right back into my Christianity. Now where I find myself, I'm kind of a little in the middle. I believe in God. God is number one. I still truly believe in his word and the power of prayer. But I believe that there is a place for manifestation and the law of attraction and spirituality. I think it's kind of one and the same. And I'm not very rigid in my beliefs. I feel like if it's proven to me, then I can trust it. I'm a scientist at heart, so I believe in what I can see. And for me, that's how I've learned to trust my intuition because I've tested it. I've witnessed small miracles in my life. And I know that there is a higher power that's guiding us and leading us. And there's power in prayer because when I send prayers out, they're answered. And it's insane how that works. And I practice it and I love it and I want to share it. So throughout my life, trying to figure out who I want to be and what I want to do. And I was a scientist for 20 years and I thought that was my career. I studied it, I learned how to do it, I was trained in it, and that's who I was becoming. But there was a piece of me that kind of kept fighting it a little bit. There was a piece missing because if I wanted to excel in my career as a scientist, the next step was probably to get a PhD in something and become a specialist. And for me, to specialize in one thing is torture. To only do one thing for the rest of my life feels like a type of torture. I am a generalist. I like to know a little about a lot. I don't want to know a lot about a little. So I really didn't want to get a PhD. I didn't want to be a specialist, but the work that I was doing and the career that I was in, that was kind of the next step for me. Like I had to be really good at something and provide value in some way. But that wasn't really aligning with what I really wanted to do. And, there's pressure in a career to be the best at the job that you have. And it's not necessarily the job that you want, but there's expectations that your boss has on you to perform well and to perform in a type of way that's beneficial to the company. And it's not always the way you want to be. And it's not always the work you want to be doing. So those are small sacrifices that we make, and those are ways that we adjust ourselves and we hinder ourselves from being our most authentic self. And our most authentic self might not want to do the work that we're doing or the way that we have to do it because of expectations. And this isn't to say, oh, quit your job and become an actor if that's what you really want to do. It's not to suggest you have to do anything drastic or manic or adjust your life right away, but recognize the signs that are out there where your soul is telling you, I really don't like doing this. And recognize if it's, oh, do we just not like doing it because like it's hard work? Or do we not have any passion in this at all? And for me, the moment that I realized I was sacrificing myself and I wasn't being my most authentic self was when I realized there was absolutely zero passion in the work that I was doing. I enjoyed aspects of it because I'm good at it, because I've been trained for 20 years to do this type of work. But I'm missing the passion. I'm missing the drive. I'm missing the piece where I'm supposed to buy into the vision of the company and the values and this and that. Like, I didn't. I didn't like the projects I was getting necessarily. I didn't see value in some of the work that I was doing, and it made it really miserable for me. But I was playing a part. I was not being my most authentic self because I was staying in this role and I was people pleasing because I wanted to keep my job. And for me, that was a way that I was doing myself a disservice and not being my most authentic self. And lo and behold, I found myself surrounded by not so great people. And that is where I ran into my workplace bully who treated me like absolute shit for an entire year. And I could not get away from it. And I tried to people please and I had to bend my will. I had to bite my tongue. I had to play the game because I felt like I needed the money. I felt like I needed this job. And there were parts of the work that I really did love, but I had no passion in it. Eventually, I was moved to another department because of this bully was relentless and HR witnessed what was happening and they moved me to an entire different department. And when I entered that department, I was really hopeful for a positive change. I was like, okay, things will be better. Let's get into the work. What's going on here? How can I help? And again, the work was so defeating because I was not doing anything super important. It was an important file for sure for the company, but another team owned 90% of it. And whatever I was expected to do was a ridiculous waste of time. And I was trying to express this in a professional way to senior leadership, but senior leadership was not paying attention or didn't care at all. And again, I just found myself sacrificing who I really was to play a part in this world that I ultimately didn't even belong in. Because the minute I started feeling and thinking and acting like my most authentic self, that's when my life changed. That's when incredible people started coming into my life. That's when people who think like me found me. And the point of this whole conversation is really to inspire anyone out there to discover yourself, discover your most authentic self. And what does that mean for you? Start paying attention to like your intuition and where you're not feeling passion in your life or where you feel like you're compromising bits of yourself for a situation, for a person, for a boss, for a family member. Where do you find yourself biting your tongue the most? Where do you find yourself holding back? Because in those moments where you bite your tongue or you hold back, you're hindering your voice, you're hindering your soul, you're hindering your self expression, and you're right to do that because God's gift is the gift of choice. We all have a choice in life, and that's our power that belongs to us. And you have a choice every single day on how you want to show up in the world. And if you continue to show up the way you're taught to show up, and if you continue to act in a way that you think you have to act to perform in front of these people, to have this life that you think you want, the more you're going to find yourself surrounded by things you don't want in your life, by people that don't actually make you happy, by jobs that don't give meaning or purpose, and by places that maybe you don't even like the weather. But it happens very slowly. We constantly make very small sacrifices in life, and those little small sacrifices start adding up. And eventually you wake up and you're surrounded by a life that you don't particularly enjoy. And if we really do only get one life, where's the sense in that? The most important thing that you can do is be your most authentic self. Don't bite your tongue. Don't hold back. I mean, to an extent. I do still bite my tongue in certain scenarios where it's appropriate. And that's not hindering my most authentic self. That's just being respectful of others. There's a fine line that I think we can all agree on. But it took me 20 years to leave a career that I thought I was going to do my whole life and to sit with nothing for over a year before I started to figure out what it meant to be my most authentic self and to speak my truth and to find the people that absolutely belong in my life. And the lesson I learned through the whole experience was just be your most authentic self. Be the person that you looked up to when you were little. Be the person that you thought you would become when you grew up. And don't settle for less. Don't ever settle for the life that you have in the moment. If it's not what you want, if it's not going in the direction that you'd like it to be going, if you find yourself constantly making sacrifices for others, stop doing that. Don't do that anymore. Do something for you. And start small. Don't drastically change your life and create a bunch of unnecessary chaos for yourself. Start in little ways. Start honoring your voice. Speak up in the meeting. Have something to say. It's scary to speak up in a meeting. I know what it's like in a boardroom of professionals and you have an idea and something you want to say, but lean in. Like, don't worry about what other people think. If the people around you are going to judge you by things that you say, they're not the people that you want around you in the first place. And by you saying the things that are on your mind and how you really feel, those people are going to leave. And that might be scary, but new people are going to come in and you're going to find people that are more like you and people that are funnier and smarter and more interesting. If you're not happy with where you are, being yourself will change that. And the way to tell you're sacrificing things that you want or you're not being your most authentic self is just looking around. Do you have the life that you want? Do you have the friends that you want in your life? Are they supportive? Are they helpful? Do they encourage you to be yourself? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel like you're allowed to be yourself? Do you feel confident making decisions and speaking out? And for most people, we hide who we really are because we're worried about what other people might think. We don't say that thing. We don't post that post because we're worried about what the comments might be. We hide behind an image that we want others to see. Mel Robbins says, let them. Dana Meredith says, fuck them. Fuck the people that don't like what you really have to say if it's what you really mean, because they're not meant to be around you in the first place. Fuck them if they don't like what you're posting. If it comes from a place of who you really are and what you want to share with the world, just do it. Send it. Post it. Say it. Because at the end of the day, if we only get one life, and we're not living our most authentic life, what a waste. What a waste of time. Because being yourself is going to get you everything you want in life. Being yourself is going to surround you with the people who are going to lift you up in life. They're going to introduce you to opportunities. They're going to introduce you to jobs, to people, to places, to situations and circumstances that are just going to blow your mind. And who cares what people say at the end of the day? I love that post that Cher posted when she says, I wish I did dumber things. I wish I did all of it. Because at the end of the day, this life is for you. It's not for anyone else. There's other people in their own lives living around you. And yes, we can respect that. But at the same time, what do you want? What do you want your life to look like? It's not too late to start over. It's not too late to start small and start speaking up and start putting your foot down and start defending your boundaries, setting boundaries. Some people even need to just start with that, and that's okay. That's a start. But the point is just start, and the life you're meant to live will find you. And throughout my life, I've always found myself having the best conversations when I'm talking about something, maybe seems irrelevant, but I'm having a conversation with a friend and something will just come to mind. And It's something I learned in passing, it's something I heard, and it's a topic that we're talking about, and I just say the thing. And I can see on my friend's face, their eyes just change. Like something has changed. They've heard something, maybe not for the first time, but they've heard it in a way they've never heard it before, and something in their mind changes. And they're like, oh my God, I've never thought of it that way. And I've had a handful of conversations like these with people throughout my life. And those have been the absolute best moments of my life. They've felt so rewarding because I can just feel a difference off of them. I can see a difference in the way they heard what I had to say. And it might not have been the first time they've ever heard that, but it was the first time they heard it in the way they needed to help them with something in their life, to change their perspective in some way that will benefit them later in life. And having those conversations be so rewarding, that was kind of the moment I knew, okay, there's something here. Maybe this is a gift. Maybe I just have the gift of gab, or I can sense what someone is going through and what they might need to hear to get them through that thing. Because I've been able to do it a number of times. And looking back at my career and my life and where I've been, those always seem to stick out as part of my most authentic self. Being my most authentic self is just having candid conversations with people and being able to recognize something that they're struggling with and give them my perspective or something that has helped me in my life. And sharing that information has been so rewarding that that is what has also inspired this whole podcast and the whole premise of wanting to interview my friends and family and people that I've met along the way, because sharing information and having conversations with people is so special. Learning the background story for everybody, finding out what they're struggling with and being able to help them with something, and sharing my experience so that it might make something easier for someone else who's going through something similar. Even just knowing that you're not alone, it's rewarding for me, and it's inspired me to take this next step in life and share my gift, share what I do. Even if it's not seen or understood, I feel compelled to speak my truth. So I bought a microphone and I've started a podcast. And I hope that eventually I'll say something that helps someone out there. And if I don't, it's very therapeutic for me to get all my stories out there. I even had a whole episode where I just talked shit about my ex and told everybody what he did to me. And that felt really good. Not a lot of men like to hear it, but it felt really good to get off my chest. And I just feel like just being my most authentic self is leading me down a path that I can be motivated to pursue. I'm actually passionate about this. I enjoy it. I'm excited. I get up in the morning and I want to work. And that's something I haven't had for a while. And I'm really looking forward to the next chapter. If you find yourself in a place where you don't really know what it means to start over, or you don't know how, or you feel like you're in a life that doesn't give you purpose or meaning, or you might be surrounded by people you don't really enjoy, just start small. Start with speaking up, sharing your opinion, sharing how you really feel, not how people are used to you feeling. Don't bring the part of you that you used to pretend to be. Bring the part of you that really feels the way you feel. If you're passionate about a cause, get involved in the cause. If you're passionate about a project that you want to start or an idea, get started. Start doing it. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for other people to be comfortable with you being a little different, saying things you would normally keep quiet. So, if anyone is going through something similar, or you're trying to figure out what it means to be your most authentic self, drop it in the comments. Let me know. And if you're enjoying these lessons, feel free to like, share, subscribe, and follow along for more.